Hello, everyone. This is Ash. Gonna take a few minutes here for me to get set up. It's the first time I have done this before, so I'll just wait a few minutes here for some people to come in. Okay, everyone. I guess we'll kick things off here. Okay, so starting out, this is the first time I have done this. I have never done a YouTube live video cast before. This is a little bit of an experiment, so we will see how this goes. Feel free to ask questions and whatnot in the side panel. And yeah, so I guess here we go. So starting out, introduce myself here. My name is Ash Blue. I am the lead developer on A Dragon Named Cole, which is the game you can see over here on the screen. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And particularly, I'm working on a Metroidvania game for a while. I am the lead developer and also the lead writer. So hopefully I can share some of the expertise I've gained in those roles here, particularly with development, of course, and help you out. So what we're going to build an additive level loader. And I wanted to the reason I have the game up here is I wanted to show you exactly what this is. We will be building it from scratch, from the ground up. We have this nice little repository here. We'll be putting everything in. As you can see, there's nothing in there yet. But like I said, let's take a look at the functionality that we're going to build. So when you move between scenes, you can see in here, this is a full scene. But when you go into a new area, it's actually a completely new scene. And in Unity, I have it set up so when I go over and I walk into an area here, and it actually hits a trigger, it then tells the game, oh, okay, we need to catalog a bunch of data and move a bunch of data over to the next area. So essentially, it deletes everything from the scene and puts this one in. Now, there's a bunch of other things like game managers, things that manage the game state, like is Cole dead, is he alive, like weather patterns, lighting, all that stuff is also preserved at the same time. So we're going to cover in this video exactly how you go through, you create a scene like this, and then you preserve everything. It's pretty cool. It's super powerful. It will add a great set of tools to your, or great set of dev tools to what you're doing. Now, a couple of things just to mention that additive level loading will add for your games is it will give you the ability to catalog and save shared assets. So essentially, like I was mentioned earlier, if there's any special game type things that you need to keep in, it'll preserve those. Also, one thing that I found with Unity that it does you need to know about is if you call the load command in Unity, it'll actually nerf all of your key binding inputs. So like for example, in here I'm holding forward when I walk off the screen. Unity would actually completely clear that out. That's important to know because if you have a game like this and you want character input to be held down, you can't do that with a basic level load. You have to use additive level loading. Now, okay, cool. I think we've had a thorough chunk of time to sit down here and look over exactly what you're building. Let's start building the thing. Okay, so starting out, we're going to need to add in the 2D asset pack. If you have Unity 5, it should be pretty easy. We're going to go into our assets. We're going to import a package. I'm going to import 2D. Show you the window over here I'm working off of. As you can see here, basic input pack. We're going to import all the stuff. Depending on if you're following along, we go through this, depending on what kind of computer you have. This may take a little while. I'm on an SSD, but for older hard drives, this won't be as fast. Now we're going to build, actually, let me close out this guy. Increase the performance a bit here. Oh yeah, when Unity imports this with 5 and some of the converters, it has a little bit of corruption there. Now, if you get that message, you don't need to worry about that. It's just a Unity asset importer freaking out over some YAML files, nothing to be concerned about. Okay, so we need to create ourselves a scene with a character, kind of like what we had from the Dragon Named Cole game I showed you a minute ago. So, save scene as. For whenever it comes to scenes, I personally like to put them in a folder called scenes. And we were going to call this area A. So, okay, let's go in now and drop in our components. We need, let's see here, 2D, we want prefabs. Here we go. So we want Robot Boy. We're going to drop him in. And one thing too, when you import Robot Boy in the 2D assets, it does a screwy thing, is it changes the scale. One thing when you're working with 2D assets in Unity, you always want to make sure that your scale is set to 1:1:1. If you need to adjust the scale, you should create an inner graphics component. They don't do that on here. It's actually bad practice, but that's an entirely different subject. Okay, now let's go through here and let's add in a platform. These are of different sizes. We'll just get a really big one so we have something basic. We just mainly, actually I don't want that one. I want this guy. He's super huge. Yeah, there we go. We just want something where we can identify, that we've moved from one area to another. And there we are. And a little trick here, if you want like a super quick and simple camera, what you can do is you can actually go in here and nest the camera inside of a character, and it'll just stick to them. Really, really great way of setting up a camera on the fly if you don't want to spend a ton of time doing it. One thing too to keep in mind about your cameras, you do need to have, if you're doing a 2D game like assets, you do need to have the z-axis at -10. Otherwise, if you go to 0 here, the character will disappear. Okay, give that a save and a run, and we should be able to move our character around now with the camera. Sweet, we got jump, input controls, awesome. Something basic now that we can use to build the rest of the game. So there is a scene A. My character, I actually don't want to have to run all the way over every single time. Sweet. Okay. So now I guess the next thing that we need if we're going to do 2 scenes here is we need a second scene. So I'm going to do this the fast and simple way. I'm going to go into my scenes. You can hit Control-D, and that will duplicate. And now we have an area B. And if you are going through and creating this for your own game, the area names are case sensitive and they are important, and they need to be unique. This will become important later. When we advance to the game and we put in, the actual additive level loading, because Unity pretty much piles all the scenes into a gigantic hash. We'll talk about that a bit more later. So, yeah, scene A, want to save. Make sure scene B looks good. Great. So one important thing though is for scene B, we probably don't want to load the character in twice, although let's not worry about that right now. Okay, so now we need a trigger for when the player walks off into the other area. So let's go in here. Let's create a blank object. Leave in Windows Control-Shift-N. Yep, there we go. And let's call this level transition. A box collider 2D. We're going to make this a trigger. Increase my size on it a bit here. And we'll put this guy right here. Actually, the positioning does matter. Although perhaps for this demo we won't worry about that too much, because you have to usually manually reposition the character, but we can just position it in the center of the level transition component. Okay, so next what we're going to need is to create a new prefab. So let's go down here and create a prefabs folder first. And with my prefab in here, I am going to create the level loading mechanism. All right, I'll have to create it in here first. So this is our, so another thing too I do is I like to put an underscore if something is special and not actually in the game. So it's just a little namespace. It doesn't actually do anything in Unity. So we're going to call this the level loader. Back, I'm going to drop that here into the prefab. We're going to work off of it in here. Okay, so for the level loader, we need to create a new script. What are we going to call that? Well, actually, we're not going to create the script from here. We'll go and create another folder. It's a little tedious, but it will pay off in the long run. Folder, scripts. We're going to create a new C# script. We're going to call this guy level loader. Okay, we're going to load up monodevelop here. And the first thing that we need to do is I want to make this guy into a singleton right off the back. If you aren't too familiar with this Singleton pattern, don't worry about it too much. I'll show you here in a minute exactly what it is. So level loader, over here, and the best way to approach this guy is, so we're going to have to create for the singleton a public static. Usually what I do is current. The public static current, and we need to make this type a level loader. And okay, so just to explain here what's going on is static makes it so this universally exists on the on all of these instances of level loader. That means you can access it from anywhere from any script. Now, the public makes it too, so we can get in there. So essentially, one thing to keep in mind about static variables is that if you don't delete them, they can cause memory issues with But something you shouldn't have to worry about for this, but keep that in mind. So void awake. And on awake, current is going to equal to this. And we do, though, want to make sure that we aren't loading in more than one static asset. So if current, and there are better ways of doing this, but this is just for time's sake. Actually, before this guy. So we went to debug.assert, or actually, so we can have our level loader in any scene, we'll have it destroy itself. So if current is not equal to null, so this is saying if this has already been set, we are going to destroy. This guy, and we are going to return. This is so we can have a level loader in any of our scenes without having conflicts with current accidentally getting overridden. Cool. So that's done. So now what we need to do for our level loader in order for there to be able to go through and load new scenes is we're going to need to create a load scene method. So public void load scene. And the one thing we need to load a scene is we need a string name. And right off the back here, what we're going to have to do for loading the scene, because we need to wait a frame for cleanup and some other things so that we don't crash the game, we're going to have to create a IE numerator. Now, a numerator is essentially, an IE numerator for a coroutine. If you are not familiar with coroutines, what they do is they allow you to pretty much create a loop that sits and runs infinitely. And during that loop, you can pause it, you can have delays, you can have manually pause things. And we're going to use that to our advantage here, and we'll explain that as we go through a little more if you're confused. So load scene loop is what we're going to call this since it's part of load scene. We still need to pass in the string of the scene. And I'm going to start coroutine load scene loop, pass our scene name in. Oh, I hate how to develop spaces things automatically sometimes. Okay, so now our load scene loop. So first thing that we need to do is we're going to have to go through and catalog everything. So let's pretend, well, the first thing we have to do is go through and, sorry, I'm thinking out loud, review my notes. Yeah, let's just start off keeping this simple so I can explain some of the pitfalls and things, and we'll solve those as we go along. So we're going to load level additive. We don't want to do async, we just want to do level additive. And we are going to do the scene name that we passed in. So an important thing to note is that when you load level additive, you do need to wait a frame for everything to kick in properly. So we need to yield return null for now. And then, how do I do this? Current. So yeah, I'm going to create a game object called current, and we're going to use that to catalog everything. Current, it's going to be catalog. And actually at the beginning of the game, we might as well catalog things to simplify some stuff here. So we need to loop through all of the assets in the scene. So for each, transform P in Unity engine dot object. So this is saying using the Unity engine variable. Actually, we can probably get rid of that since we have a load at the top. So in object find objects of type, and we want to get every object of type transform. If it has a transform, it's loaded in the scene. So then we say if so if okay, so when we go in here so we don't get children and actually throw them out, we only want to get parents. So we need to say if p dot parent is equal to null. So if the parent is equal to null, that's something that we want to catalog. So we're going to take our catalog, or actually for a game object, we do need to create that right at the back end. So actually, we can do that outside of here. Yeah, let's do that. So we need to create the catalog, which is equal to new game object. And then for the catalog game object, we want to set a name, and we're just going to call this underscore default. Default load. Because we don't actually have it, or we can actually give it the scene name. So there's a way in Unity to get the scene name, which is the application believe it's loaded level name, I believe. Find out in a second, won't we? And let's prefix that with an underscore, just so we know that it has special significance. And then inside of that, let's make that catalog a transform. Be a little easier to work with when we parent things to it. Transform. And if parent is equal to null, we're going to catalog this guy. Set parent. Sorry. P dot set parent as catalog. So now with our level loader, we should be able to drag this guy in here. There we go. We're going to apply that to the prefab, and we give this a run. It should catalog things now. Ah, there we go. Pretty cool, huh? It took everything. It kept all of our hierarchy, so all these items that are nested, they didn't explode or do anything crazy. It's gone in, and it has cataloged everything that we wanted. Now, a few things to think about that we might not want to have cataloged right off the back. So for starters, the level loader was cataloged. We obviously don't want that. The level transition is fine, the platform. We may not want to catalog Robot Boy. There's a good chance that we want him to move between scenes. So let's solve that right now. Let's get it so this thing actually ignores particular items. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's go back into our level loader. And we are going to need to probably create a ignore column. So let's say transform, create an array, and we're going to call this ignore. These are elements we want to ignore. Oh, sorry, we have to serialize that field. Now, if you're wondering here, I'm going to be using this a lot, serialize field instead of game object. And the reason why, I'm sorry, serialize field instead of public. And the reason I'm using serialized field instead of public is that public actually makes everything publicly accessible. When you're building out complex APIs, that becomes really important because if something is public, that means someone should be allowed, to edit it or use it. You probably don't want that functionality. And when you're working in large teams, this becomes extremely important. Cool. So, should load up here. Awesome. So now we have this ignore array. And we want to ignore robot boy, and we also want to ignore the level loader. So I'm going to put 2 elements into here. But I'm realizing these exist to the scene, so we kind of can't do that. So could ignore the names, but that's a little bit unreliable. I guess I could ignore itself, so that's fine. So we can drop the level loader in here. Now, as far as robot boy goes, he is a little bit more. Actually, we don't need to do that via code. I'm thinking this might not be the best way to do this. How about we go in and we get, sorry, I need to think on this. The way I did it in my game is a little more complex. I'm trying to figure out how to simplify it here. Let's go in. We will get robot boy, and we can generate him on the fly with the loader. Seems like a good start. What do I want to do? Yeah. Let's make robot boy and put robot boy in here. So I'm gonna So let's put the player prefab in here. Game object, player, let's approach. And then I need to create, still inside of here, a dictionary of game objects with a bool, ignore. All right, 1 second, let me think on this. So we do need still to ignore various game objects. And we're going to create this dictionary at initialization, just for simplicity purposes here. The game object, bool, there we go. And for each find game object. So right off the back end to the ignore, we are going to add our self. ignore this true. And then in here, you say if ignore contains key t.gameObject. You might as well do transforms. Fix. Transform. If ignore. Now we want to continue, which will make the loop skip this current item. So let's give that a run. Awesome, no errors. And it should now ignore our level loader. Awesome, check that out. So we now have a level loader, and we have an area. Still, we have to figure out getting Robot Boy out of there, and so he is dumped somewhere else. So how are we going to do that? So as you can see here, we have this player item right here. Now, I think what we'll do, player. You don't want to serialize this. What am I thinking? We'll use a tag. So let's go to Robot Boy. So you can see he's already tagged player. So what we'll do here is when this loads up is we will grab the player. Player is equal to object dot find with tag the player tag. So now we've got the player. If we can put this up a little higher there, we can now also ignore the player. So ignore player.transform. True. You know, the true and false actually doesn't make a difference. We're just checking for the keys with the dictionary. It's kind of the simplest way to do this. Now give this a run, and Robot Boy should not get moved over. Aha, there we go, awesome. So we have area A, level loader, and character Robot Boy. So I want to move Robot Boy, though, into a shared component since he is shared throughout all of the scenes. May seem a little bit excessive, but it kind of does make a difference. It kind of is important. So we're going to create, we have a catalog, and then we want to create a new transform and shared. Got some notes in here. Catalog. Ignore elements. And then we want to create a level loader. So in here, sorry, no, create level, create a shared area. And shared is then equal to new game object, which is, as mentioned earlier, a really handy trick for creating new hierarchy items on the fly. And we are going to call shared.name is also going to be equal to underscore plus shared. And we'll want to dump the player inside of the shared folder too. So grab the player, transform, set parent. You should always call set parent. Avoid setting the parent manually, you'll get a error. Well, an arrow will give you a warning in Unity. And shared. And that should do the trick. So now, oh, didn't create it. Let's see what happened here. So we're creating shared. Oh, we need to ignore the shared component because we just cataloged it essentially. Let's move our ignores down a little bit here. Shared equal to true. And actually, while I'm looking at here, just for simplicity purposes, do we want to ignore? No, we don't want to ignore the catalog. There's a good reason for that. Don't want to, because we're going to clean up all the things that are not ignored, essentially. Okay, sweet. So now we have our level loader. We have shared player. Pops up inside the shared folder. We now have our area in area A. This is pretty cool. Probably be cooler too if we could transition into the next area. We'll get to that in a minute here. We have to do all this kind of prep so we can actually figure out what to delete and what not to delete. Okay. Clean up my file a little bit there. Okay, now that we have everything cataloged, what we can do is when we go into a new area, is we can do the additive level load. We're also going to need to delete the catalog. So what I'm going to do for that, grab our for each transform t in, transform inside of our catalog. Grab all the children. Actually, we can just delete the catalog. No reason to go through and loop through everything, so we can just destroy the catalog. Actually, we have to pass destroy a game object, so we'll error. There we go. Or do we want to do that? Because I guess we could just create a new catalog. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just have to do this again. Or create another catalog here, so then we'll need to set catalog. We don't need to set it to null for the garbage collector, it'll just get it. I apologize for my horrible keyboarding skills here. I'm used to being on a Mac and I can't stream from it. So I'm working on my Windows computer, which is a little bit of a change for typing for me. So that wipes out everything from the old scene. We load in the new one, and then we need to go through and re-catalog everything. So I can probably go up here, create a new update catalog method. Let me do this. What we'll do, we create a new catalog. So we'll grab this guy and our loop for all the items. And we should be able to update the catalog there. So we'll run destroy, we'll additively load our new scene in, and then we'll run update catalog. So just to make sure this all works and there's no errors, let's give it a run real quick to make sure we didn't break anything. Awesome. Everything looks good. So back to about updating the catalog. So sorry, back to about the additive level loading. So one thing that's going to happen when we jump into our new level is the level loader will just automatically destroy itself and return. It'll, just essentially magically go away, because we're going to probably want to put a level loader in the other scene so we can run that one too, and also run this one. We're also going to want to go through here then, and we will need to do something about the player, because otherwise there will be 2 players in the scene. We obviously don't want that. And also too, we will need to position the player. So let's put some to-dos in here just so we know. To do place player at proper position. And we're going to another to-do. We're going to record clean up other player. And we'll tackle these as we come about them. So okay, let's do some level loading. So this is where our level transition is going to be. Once again, usually you can create scripts through here, but I don't recommend it. You should always try to keep them organized. So we're going to create a new C# script. We're going to call it level transition. So for the level transition, what do we need? Well, we're going to have to give the level transition the name of the scene that we want to load. So when I'm talking about scenes, remember those scenes we created, area A and area B, we'll have to feed it in. And we'll keep it dynamic. So we'll pass in a string, and we'll call it scene. We'll say load scene. Be a little more particular about it. And then void on trigger enter 2D. We're going to hop in here and we're going to say level loader, what we created earlier, and we can access that level loader. Current here, and we're going to say level loader.current. We're going to load our scene. So now we go in here and run this. It's going to load up the next scene. It'll probably create some chaos and some things will crash, but a little bit in some places, but we'll figure out how to clean up as we go about. So there we go. Player is perfectly fine. Runs great. Oops. That didn't work how it was supposed to. Oh. Transition. Oh, we did not add the script. So scene, I believe we want area B. So now, when we walk over here, oh, there we go, it transitioned. And everything disappeared. Oh, here we go. Area B couldn't be loaded because not been added to the build settings. Okay, we can fix that. So if you're not too familiar with how build settings work in Unity, what you have to do is you have to go to File, Build Settings, and you will actually need to add in the current scene. So what that's going to do is it's actually going to make it so these scenes are globally accessible. So area A is now globally accessible for loading data. And in build settings, add a current for B. So now we have A and we have B loaded in. Good stuff. This will run again. See what happens. Ah, there it goes. So it loaded in the scene, but the problem is, like it says here too, like there's it says warning, there are 2 audio listeners in the scene, and that is because we dragged over a bit of data from earlier. Because as you can see here, there is Robot Boy, and we also have Robot Boy. We definitely don't want that. And each of those characters is a camera nested inside of them, which doesn't help things right now. Do we want character? Well, area A or B? So we're loading area B. Good. Looks like a few things didn't clean up quite properly. I'm not too sure for loading in the correct area map, so let me just drop in some crates just so we can individualize this area a little bit more. Okay, going in, and oh, okay, good. We are loading in a new area. The area name is not changing as it's supposed to, so I think we should probably start with getting that fixed. So it says area B, that's not correct. I believe it's application. How about this? We're gonna just pass the scene name in, because I think because it's additively level loading, it's not detecting it. So easy fix. And up here we'll need to say application load level name. So the first time that we do it, we'll actually go in and we'll grab the scene loader name and we'll pass it into this update catalog. And over here now too, we're going to pass in, when we do the load scene, we're going to actually just pass the scene name in. That way it properly updates and doesn't look confusing. This is important because when you're playing in a game, you want to be able to debug properly looking at this window. You want to make sure that you're actually feeding out the correct scene. Ah, there we go. Awesome. Area B. Although we need to delete Robot Boy when we load into the new area. So to make sure that we don't have 2 Robot Boys running around, let's, I think the best way to do this would be go into the Robot Boy loop, so the Robot Boy character, and I think we're going to add a script. And what the script is going to do is it's going to destroy the character if there's more than one present available. So let's go into scripts, create a new C# script, and we're going to call it Player Manager. And we're going to do another similar thing what we were doing with the static scripts. So in the Player Manager, we're going to say public static. Yeah, let's store the Player Manager itself. Player Manager current, and then void awake. we're going to say if current is not equal to null, destroy immediately, because otherwise it'll skip a frame. And you want to be careful with destroying immediate. It can also cause bugs if something's actively running. But on awake, it shouldn't cause an issue. Destroy yourself immediately. And then current is equal to this. So this will allow us to only have one instance of the player. So let's go into character robot boy. I'm going to lock my viewing window real quick. Select this character. And I'm going to drop on my player manager script. It's good to create, just real quick as a side note, it's really good to create little tiny micro modules. You'll find that they're super reusable and you can use them to do crazier things. When you start building like massive pages of hundreds of lines of code, that's when you run into the problem where you start mixing up functionality, things start getting clunky. The smaller the modules you can make, usually the better. Usually. Okay, cool. So now if we run our game, it should clear out the player and we should stop getting the to audio listener bug. Sweet. Oops, I ran off the edge. Great. I'm loaded in. And pretty cool. Puts me at the other end. And it went through, it cataloged our scene. We have our level loader. We have our shared folder still with our character, so we only have one character. This is really great too if we had health or stats or equipment attached to the individual character, it wouldn't be disappearing. And then we've loaded in level B. So now let's get level B up and running. Now, although this took a little while to write, and thank you for bearing with me this long, the cool thing is now we can go in here, we can add in our level loader. And now we can give this guy a run, and it's going to run perfectly fine without any issues. Check that out. Level loader, shared character robot boy, area B. All that work just magically came in. How cool is that? So now all we have to do essentially is add another trigger for our scene loader, and we can make the character transition back and forth between these two areas. So let's go back to area A. And just to keep this simple, I'm going to copy and paste this level transition. Probably should, let's create a prefab. That is the correct way to do it. Just in case we, we're going to make any modifications down the road. Okay, cool. So area B, prefabs. There's our level transition. And one magical thing I'm realizing that we really don't have to worry so much about is that the level transitions kind of line up. So what we'll do, because when it goes over here, it hits there. Actually, we can do something cool to make this infinite moving. So let's take all of this. Oops, level loader is not at 0, 0. Good force of habit, whenever you add an object, put it at 0, 0, 0 by default. Let's take all of this. Original. So starting point's right there. I think right about there will do it. Because we want to make it so when you walk in, it moves you back to the previous area. Actually, no. This is a horrible idea. What am I thinking? Level loader. Let's put the level loader over here. I think that should make it universal for walking back and forth. Cool. So now we hit play. Oh crap, it's still loading in area B. We need to change that to area A. It's working with prefabs. When it goes bold like that, that means this is not applied. That's okay, nothing to worry about. Save the scene. Now I should be able to walk back and forth between scenes, and my hierarchy should just magically change. So, okay, I'm in scene A, as you can tell here. Platform and the level transition, all loaded in beautifully. Character, we can even walk with these out. I'm going to walk all the way back over now. Loads me into the new area. Loads me into this area. So that's pretty cool that we can go in and we can transition between these levels. Let's move it so we walk to one. We can probably put transitions on both edges. There's nothing wrong with that. You can put as many level transitions anywhere you want, just to make this a little bit more fluid. So all we have to do to do that is just grab our level transition, copy, paste this guy, move him over here. We have 2 level transitions. And then let's go to scenes. Here, I want to save that. There's our level transition. Oh, I should be using the prefab, shame on me. And one thing that we just don't have time for, but you would normally want to do, is you'd want to manually reposition the player. And probably your character isn't going to be, your camera is not going to be nested underneath your character. That's kind of a simple hack we did for this video. You'd probably need to reposition the camera, reposition the character. If you have any kind of special lighting or anything to load in, you'd have to load in those special assets based on that area. But this is essentially a really good boilerplate and template. I'll make sure too to put this up on Git and put the link in the bottom. It's already in a repo. I just need to save and upload the assets and everything. Yeah, real quick here, let's take a look at this guy and make sure he runs okay. I just want to make sure, I think I offset the platform too much. Copy component real quick. So you can copy the prefab between scenes to make sure they both line up okay. Oh, okay, they do line up. Cool. Okay, so let's give this a run. And there we go. I'm in a new area, area B. Area A. Area B. Pretty cool, huh? So yeah, that sums it up. I don't really see any questions. I see there is a viewer, so thank you, still here with me, so thank you for watching. Uh-oh. The object of type transform has been destroyed, but you are trying to access it. Actually, ooh, and it says there are more than one audio listeners in the scene. Oh, Robot Boy's loading it. Well, let's figure out what is going on. Oh, you know what? We probably didn't. Do we apply this to Robot Boy? Yeah, so the player manager is there. It says right here, destroy catalog game object. Where does this originate from? So we can look at level transition, level loader, line 50. This would be a good debug exercise. So start coroutine, runs the load scene loop, and then at 54, this is saying destroy catalog.game object. Don't know why. Let's figure this out when this is running. I'm guessing it's between scene loads. I'm wondering if Robot Boy might be bugging out. We try to delete him here. It happened there. 2 times. Interesting. Well, an easy way to test this. If it's this player manager that we added, we can remove it temporarily off the prefab to see what happens. Nope. It is not Robot Boy loading in. So our player manager back in. This will be a fun one to debug. So, looks like it's whenever we're destroying everything. Transform. So it thinks it's already been destroyed, but we're still trying to access it. So let's see what happens real quick. We just go through and do something messy, like not destroy the catalogs anymore. Yeah, I think. Oh boy. Looks like computer's crashing. Hold on here. I figured out what it is. It's just infinitely looping when we hit an area. Well, let's try that again. Hopefully we didn't lose anything. I think I saved before it crashed. So okay, I discovered the problem, and that is that it's looping on the loads, it looks like. So problem is it thinks we're doing an on trigger enter when we go into a new area. So I think the easiest way to solve this is just to do a transition at the end of the walk. Let's do it at the beginning. And we'll delete this guy. Now you've seen how this can quickly go wrong. And we'll do one. So there goes here, so we'll delete this guy. And now we should be able to walk back and forth without completely crashing the scene like we just did. There we go, and the errors are gone. So yeah, it was doing the loads were overlapping. Cool, there it is. I will upload the code for this guy. Oh yeah, it's, oh, there's two audio listeners in the scene? That doesn't make sense. Check out why that is. Does he have the Caret player manager on? Having that scene, area B. Our player manager is not cleaning up like it's supposed to. Oh, we have to return after we destroy immediate. That's the problem. So this should fix that. Bug hunting always sucks up a ton of time, but it's probably good to watch the process if you're not used to this type of thing. Walking back, there we go. Okay, we're not getting those errors anymore. So yeah, the problem was that current on our static element was getting set to null after it was destroyed, and then it was thinking that when we added a new character that there wasn't already there. Ah, I fell off by accident. Cool, so that's it. This wraps up the video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to subscribe, and I will also look into if YouTube will allow me to archive this. So thanks for watching.